Kyle Dubas said this, and I think this is a really important way to view this. He said his biggest mistake as Leafs GM, the biggest mistake I think I made in my whole time was not taking care of 3 incumbent contracts. William Nylander was up. Mitch Marner and Austin Matthews could have been done on July 1st extensions. The thing I learned was once we signed John to that AAV, we lifted the lid on the entire ceiling. And you look at what's happened in Vancouver with Quentin Hughes, you look at New Jersey with Jack Hughes, you look at Montreal with Nick Suzuki, and these guys who are younger guys who are the future of their teams, and no one's making above what they're making, and they're making 8 or 9 now. And I look at the LA Kings and I think, first off, my instant reaction was, wow, the Kings finally did a good thing.
I know.
It's been a while.
It's been a tough run for them.
The second thing is, I think that if you look at the Leafs core and the way that the league has reacted since those signings and the pandemic with the flat cap, all of them have pivoted to what the Senators did last year with Jake Sanderson. And they're taking bets, and even the Leafs are doing it, taking bets on younger players so that the top end stuff doesn't happen, because they realized that structuring a team the way the Leafs have doesn't work.
Literally and reasonably, all teams looked at the situation the Leafs are in and they went, oh, we don't want to do that. And they are better.
But isn't it interesting, though, that previous to that, when guys were signed to contracts like this, teams were made fun of, because what people used to say was, well, those guys haven't earned it. You're giving them a bunch of money. They haven't earned it yet. They should have to earn it. That was the prevailing thought.
I mean, if there's sure bets out there, make the sure bet. McAvoy, Makar, Fox. You're not screwing those up.
Yeah.
You're not screwing
Quentin Byfield, I think, pretty good bet.
I don't think you're screwing up Quentin Byfield. I mean, to a way lesser extent, way lesser extent. Dubas, with the Joseph Woll contract that he's currently on, he's like, you know what? 3-year contract under $800,000. I remember at the time being like, he's barely played. What? Another one was Logan Thompson.
Yep.
With the Vegas Golden Knights, almost identical. Might be literally identical. Like those are the ones on a far smaller scale. I'll be honest. I hate having to do this every time we talk about
but it is the story, right?
This is like, I think people think like I'm not trying to push an agenda here, and I'm not trying to be bitter about it. It affects every single decision the team makes, this current cap structure. You have to bring it up every time.
So let me ask the general manager in the room, because we need some general manager sage advice. Matthew Knies is going into year 3 of his ELC, Jesse. He had 35 points last year in 80 games, but a real great playoff performance. Again, that's 2 years in a row. Do you try to lock up Matthew Knies, who is eligible for an extension right now?
Yeah, that should be the idea, right? You get Matthew Knies on a similar contract where it's 5 or 6 years, 6 or 7 ideally. For as much as you can, you just assume that he's going to grow into it and surpass the contract that you're going to give him now. And the overarching thing that's on every contract that's signed these days is that the salary cap's going up. Like in the next 4 or 5 years, it's going to be $100 million salary cap. It's going to be very difficult to sign a bad Matthew Knies deal as long as you don't give him a giant contract like the Marner and Matthews ones that they gave them initially. And Matthews, like, that's a fair contract, even though it was like way above market value. He lived up to it because he's Austin Matthews. Matthew Knies probably not going to live up to an $11 million contract, but as long as it's reasonable in AAV and term, like, it's hard to sign a bad Matthew Knies deal. So you do it and you do a long extension.
Let me ask you this. Okay, so, and I want to ask you this is for both of you. So Matthew Knies is a year older than Quentin Byfield. Didn't come in with the same, fanfare, because Quentin Byfield was a second overall.
Yeah. There's a bit of a difference.
But, both play very physical games. Matthew Knies had 10 points less than Quentin Byfield last year. And as I said, he's a year older.
Does not play center.
Quentin Byfield technically listed as a winger right now, but can play center.
Yeah.
What do you think a deal like that looks like. If you were to just, it's July talk, right? So
And they're actually the same age. They're both 2002 babies.
Oh, they are. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, but they're different year draft picks, but they're both 2002 babies.
Oh, so they're apart by like a few months.
One's August, one's October.
There you go.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
I know. Oh, they got to make a cutoff. I don't sign for $1 less than the Michael Bunting contract that he got in Carolina.
4.5. Is that what he got?
I want to say it was 4.5 times 3, or was it 3.5 times 4? I think the Leafs should 100% try to extend him.
4.5 times 3.
4.5 times 3. If I'm him, I don't sign for $1 less than that.
What if it's over 7 years and you're giving up his UFA? Matt Knies' UFA doesn't start till 2030.
This is the thing. Like
So you sign a 6-year deal now. You walk him to free agency.
if I'm him, I don't sign anything that isn't at least 5 years long. Because again, there's incentive for the Leafs to do this early. There's not for him unless you make it worth his while. And I say that because who's on the Leafs left wing?
There's nobody. And I don't know what they have in terms of depth in the system, but I don't think it's that thick.
Knies, McMahon, and a bunch of fart noises.
And
Unless you, Pontus Holmberg's a full-time winger now? Well, no, he's not, because
even Easton Cowan's a right winger.
yeah, dude. And I'm sure he could play left and it wouldn't be that big a deal. And also Easton Cowan has not played an NHL game in his entire life.
Mm-hmm.
And may not this year. I think he will, but he may not. I think, listen, as this is anti-Leaf fan right now, this goes against everything that I want. But if I'm Matthew Knies' agent, he's made some money in his career so far. So what I do is I take him to Home Depot and I buy one of those, those little flamethrowers that they have, those little ones.
Yeah, the little torches. Yeah,
to get rid of weeds. Yeah, I buy one of those to burn every offer the Leafs give me. You have no left wingers. I'm heading into a contract year and I'm your top left winger. Give me $6 million per year. Okay, well, you got 35 points last year. I'm not doing that. All right, well, and I set it on fire. You're signing me now because I might fuck around and play this full season on the top line and light it up.
Mm-hmm.
Give me at minimum 5 years. I would say at 4.
Well,
if I'm him.
So then my question to you guys is we're going to have to, we've been stuck in the same cap era for half a decade. And so everybody kind of got used to what a $3 million player looked like, what a $6 million player looked like. It's not good. That is going to stretch. Jesse said it perfectly. It's really hard to sign a bad contract. Really hard. And so let's say he improves by 10 points this year, which is a big jump for anybody. 45. So he's up to 44, 45 points a year. How much does 45 points cost you in this 87.5, but it's actually not 87.5. It's probably $93 million world because the extension doesn't kick in until after next season.
Playoff performance matters, and what you bring beyond the 45 points matters. So if he continues to be a guy who takes too many penalties, and he does, and he continues to be a bit of a defensive liability, which he kind of is, I think he'll outgrow both of those things. You need to at least take strides in that direction. I still think, I'm asking for at least $20 million if I'm him.
Jesse, what do you think?
I think we have a bar here with Byfield. It's very convenient that this was signed in the last few days when we have this conversation, because I don't think Knies can make over $6 million. I think he's not a second overall pick. He hasn't proved what Byfield has in this league. So I don't think $6 million is in the realm of possibility. But anywhere at 5.5 or 5, especially if you get him to year 7, and then you clean up some of the UFA years that, like you said, it's starting in 2030. I feel like that's reasonable,
right?
You're right. Like if
they could go 8. They could go 8.
Oh yeah,
they could.
If you're a team,
I don't think he would.
Mm-hmm.
No, there's no reason.
No,
if you're a team, because then you're buying UFA years.
Yeah, you're buying your own years. Yeah, that doesn't really make sense.
If you're a team that has a really good young player coming off their ELC. That Byfield deal is great news.
Mm-hmm.
That's super reasonable. So When do your UFA years start? 26 or 27?
26. Yeah.
26? If I'm Knies, I want 5 years.
All right. So
there's the bar.
So the Byfield deal walks him right to age 26, 2029, and he's a UFA.
Mhm.
That's why it's scary for the Kings. But you take that compromise for having Byfield at 6.25 for all of those years. You're like, who cares about that 2029 right now?
That was the Matthews worry, and it didn't.
Yeah. No, who cares?
And it's Matthews. I know it's different.
So you have that kind of thinking where it's you walk into free agency and all of that, and there's a big deal at the end, but you don't care about all those years in between because you have to win now, especially with the Toronto Maple Leafs. So you give him that deal and you quote walk him to free agency, but then when that time comes around, you sign the next deal and it'll be fine because he either earned all of the money you're about to pay him or he didn't earn it and you move on. So it's kind of a win-win.